Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lenovo LOL Collegiate League 2017 Spring Term Challenge. What you know, we'll be your shoutcasters for the second day of the second game of the finals. Rather, I'm Atlas. With me is Arctic. Of course, coming back from that very intense first game. Like at first, it was very back and forth, very even.
Yeah.
But after a while, UPD just got the objectives that he needed, and they just took away the game.
I mean, it's crazy. This is UPD showing all the strengths that they've had, and it's just very classic at this point. If anything, TUP definitely needs to step up their game. In fact, for me personally, having gone through the finals just last split with TIP versus Olfu, I'm having flashbacks right now. And like as we've kind of been discussing earlier, it's somewhat almost the same scenario. It's almost like an Olfu versus TIP for me. It's just that the difference is UPD is kind of like the Olfu, wherein they have all the strengths that Olfu kind of lacked in the previous split. UPD has, and so much more. TUP on the other hand, reminiscent of TIP for me. It's just that, like, when you think TIP, you think of Cute, you think of Janine. When you think of TUP, you think only Acedia. So they kind of lack that extra power to dominate in terms of win lane, win game. That win lane, win game thing.
Because even though Acedia was winning lane against Iconic in the end, it was still Iconic pulling out a lot of impact with the equalizers. And even though Acedia got really good flanks with its charge, which actually won them a 2 for 4 in the top lane, it was not enough for them to carry through. And what you said about UP having what Olfu lacked, like the macro play, the drafting, as well as the individual mechanics of most of their players. It seems like UPD is coming just very, very strong. But we have seen that TUP can go extend to a Game 5 and have a very powerful comeback. But against UPD, it's really going to push them to their limits.
Exactly. And as we did see in that game one earlier, it was all about the objectives for UPD. Even though the kills were fairly equal, at the end of the day, macro really pushed her for UPD.
Yeah. At first, the kills were definitely equal. But because UPD kept getting these objectives, the Cloud Drake, which allowed them to rotate faster, the Infernal Drake, which made them kill faster, that just made the gold leads coming from the towers. They had these turrets. Every time they got a turret, that was a 1k gold lead to them. And all those built up with the bonuses of the Drakes to just completely dominate every single 5v5 after that. Because it seemed like UPD would be better off with pickoffs, but because they were so ahead, they would just go for these 5v5s, just even with the neat flash, flashing in for the immediate boot onto Sean, and then almost finishing off the game from that.
And I gotta say, because of that dragon control, this is one of the things that is kind of out of Acedia's hands, because during the early phases of the game, he's way up top, and it's definitely up to Misen and his counterpart to just really work their own magic in the bot lane. And considering the struggle that I've kind of seen earlier, hopefully we see those type of corrections going into game 2, because otherwise, if not, then TUP's going to continue to have a harder and harder time. And we have seen UPD thrive in these longer best of 5s, so I'm kind of worried.
Really? Well, worrying trend for TUP if it continues, but we're all going to see how they recover, how they come back from that in the drafting phase of the second game. This is going to be more opportunities for them to get back into this. Let's start off with the pick and bans, the first 3 bans we have for this.
Oh yeah, at least going to be banned out. I mean, Veer, I got to hand it to Veer. I mean, during the previous splits, I really didn't look at Veer as much, because when I think UPD, I think of superstars like Neep, Berserk, but I got to hand it to Veer. Going into the split, he's been an absolute joy to watch. He's not only stepped up his game, but I feel like mechanically, he's become so much more stronger.
Yeah,
and
I think the champion pool very in line with the meta, with a few outliers that really push him to be a little bit more unpredictable, but also the pathing as well, the mechanics, the pathing, the pressure, and I think he's also very willing to learn more about the jungle, which is why at this point of the game, at this point of the series, he's becoming scarier and scarier against TUP. And it's coming into the ban, still a lot of respect for the Rakan from as well as the top lane Fiora from Iconic, but at least he will not be going through. As for UPD, sticking to most of their guns here, the Lulu and Vladimir still banned out. They are willing to let the LeBlanc push through while banning out the Zac on their side, because it will be a first pick priority if it goes through.
So there we go. Going into the picks, of course, Ari going to be picked out for Bomb right there. So Bomb I believe he does have some history on this RE, too much success in a way.
That's true.
But one thing that not as surprised to see, of course, Blizzard gonna be sticking to what he knows, gonna be with the
Going
Caitlyn.
back to the Caitlyn. Yeah,
Comfort.
it's very safe.
Yeah.
There's no reason to like talk crap about it being first pick. This is a very safe AD carry, and it's a very understandable first pick. Veer, one of his signatures, Lee Sin, will be picked here. On the side of TUP, like as soon as Ari does not get banned, they pick it up, and because he's very, very proficient with that. And this means UPT can no longer pick the mid Lucian. So it's going to be the Blitzcrank Jinx bot lane for TUP.
Wow.
Very explosive as well.
And I gotta hand it to Misa N here, because I've actually been commenting earlier while Game 1 was going on, wherein Misa N, he kind of struggles on certain champions, but for some reason when it comes to these heavy skill shot champions, he actually works magic. Like the Morgana earlier, Dark Binding during previous games, a lot of connect rates, even though technically they do struggle a lot in lane, but those Dark Bindings, you know, definitely something you could rely on. So these hooks, I'm actually interested in seeing how this will transition. But of course, we will be seeing a Malzahar locked in for UPD.
This could be the mid lane. Like mid lane Malzahar is now actually a thing now that he's transitioned from the bot lane. Still very possible to go to that support role, but because of the changes, I think it does push him more to be a mid lane mage. As for the bans here, banning the Kled against Iconic, blocking against themselves as well. The Syndra from Berserk. As for UPD, now they're focusing on Sean. The Zac, Kha'Zix, and Olaf ban definitely push a few of Chan's champions away. He might still go for the Rex side. It is left open, but against the Lee Sin, it might be difficult to pull off.
There we go. Yeah, the Thresh going to be locked in for UPD, of course. What's interesting here is that if PGS has Rox as who I dub as the best Thresh I've been seeing thus far, Neep, not only is he the best support for me in the LCL, but he's also the best Thresh player for me. And again, kind of like Misa N, lands the skill shots to the T on this Thresh.
The thing is, with Thresh, Blizzard, and Neep, they actually very synergize very well. Blizzard being very, very obedient. And because Neep, as we know, is like one of the best shot callers. I think the best shot caller in the LCL.
Definitely.
And I think he's actually PGS material in terms of the shot calling. But the Thresh as well, it's not just the mechanics of the hooking and the flaying, but it's also communication with the AD carry. And I think that's one of the paramount ways, and that's one of the ways Neep actually pulls through as the best Thresh player in the LCL. As for TUP, yeah, Missy N, I've seen his performance on the Morgana, on the Blitzcrank, very proficient on that those champions. And if Navi can follow up properly on every single one of those hit skill shots, TUP will have a very powerful bot lane. If Chan can actually exploit Missy N's proficiency and these aggressive CC locking champions as well, they have a very good chance of snowballing the bot lane. Acedia picking up the Gangplank. We were talking so much about the bot lane that we did not notice Acedia picking up the Gangplank.
I know you're pretty happy about this.
Yeah, but the worry is it's up against Iconic's Jace, so it's going to be very difficult. But of course, if Acedia gets gold and ramps it up, the bank plank. If the bank plank happens, the crit plank will also happen. And that means UPD will be hard pressed to survive the damage, considering that if Chan locks down something, that's a lot of free barrels. But of course, we'll be seeing how all that plays out, because this is a very interesting draft from both of these teams. We'll be seeing how all that actually plays out once we load on into the Rift.
I guess I've felt threatened by every single game. You never know. No matter how great there is a difference between rank and how well your team performs and whatnot, there's always that small chance that you don't perform up to par. Especially, I guess, with my inconsistency, I get more and more afraid the further that we go into LCL, because then there's always the chance that we lose, and it's always getting bigger as long as we don't
of the
practice.
semi-final match between JBL, Maroon Dragons, and UPD of Legion Esports going to JBL.
Clean slate goes to JBL for game 1. Congratulations, JBL.
Failure, as we all know, comes growth, and in this growth, we learn to work on our weaknesses and further augment on our strengths. And this is a big reason why we think that we're capable of taking it a step further this year.
really. That was the UPD video for all of you for the second game of this finals between UPD Oblation Esports and TUP Sick Parvis Magna. We'll see how our teams play out their level 1s, and that, at the end, was the meaning of Oblation, just offering yourselves to something greater. And this is the reason why UPD is really pulling it off here in the finals against TUP. We'll see how TUP defends against that conviction in the second game.
Yeah, and I definitely felt that coming from UPD right there. Especially considering that we do know that some of the members of UPD are actually transitioning into graduation.
Yeah.
So it's make it or break it for them. They really want to make the most out of the, if anything, probably the best roster that UPD has out of all the splits.
That's true, and iconic as well. Pulling a lot respect man on the Fiora in one of his first splits as the starting top laner for UPD. That's also a lot of growth for all of these players, but we can't also deny that TUP has also pulled a lot of really great tricks as well in their games. Like, as I said, Misian, as we discussed, Misian so on point with these champions like Blitzcrank and Morgana, where one skill shot, isang skill shot ka lang, and then Navi will finish you off.
Exactly, and it definitely goes to show that TUP can go up to par with UPD in terms of the micro, in terms of the laning phases, the trade-offs. But of course, the big question here, transitioning especially into the mid and later parts of the game, is whether or not they could keep up in terms of the macro play.
Yeah, because that's what I always say, and how a lot of LCL teams falter is in the macro game. Because I think macro is more important than the micro. If you cannot rotate well, if you cannot coordinate to get these objectives, you will not get to the Nexus. No matter how good at 1v5 Gangplank Z outplays you are at, if you cannot transition those two objectives with your team, you will not go anywhere.
And that being said, if you're going to look at majority of the teams coming into the LCL, because you only have so much time to work on it, but whoa!
Wow, actually going for the hook here fails because Berserk immediately flashing it out. So that does reveal the position of the jungler of TUP, and Misian loses a lot of experience in that.
Oh man, but as a result though...
Are they going for it again?
I don't know. Actually, I was thinking that it would have been a smart choice if they went to check for the blue, but it looks like they'll still be hanging around.
No flash on Berserk this time. This is... Ooh, they actually do get it. The knockup as well. Lots of damage onto BCN, but Berserk immediately goes down with the Ignite.
Wow, I mean, it definitely paid off for TUP right there. And at the same time, sure, we could say that there was a little bit of time exerted to get that gank on, but I would say it still paid off in a sense as well.
It really paid off there.
Because they got that kill, and at the same time, I think that Navi also benefits in the sense that he gets all the solo experience while the Blitzcrank was absent from lane.
Being able to build up a little experience lead over Blizzard means that he also extends the range of his rocket launcher. Here comes Veer, trying to go for a gank against Acedia. Misses the crucial Sonic Wave. Acedia lives to see another day. Good munch up a little bit on those oranges to recover his health. Surviving pretty well against Iconic, despite the range melee matchup. The thing is the thing about the mid lane fight earlier, or rather the mid lane slaughter earlier, murder, was that Bomb kept the Ignite. It was Misian's Ignite that was burned. So Bomb still has a lot of kill pressure.
Definitely. And later on, I'm actually interested in seeing how this will eventually manifest. Although, if anything, because of how proactive Veer is on the map, especially in the early game ago, we got
a hook onto Need, but they might position him into a play against Navi, taking a few turret shots. It's gotta be very dangerous. Blizzard still has heal up. Will he go for it? The potions actually save him, saving the heal on Blizzard.
Man, oh man, this is what we've been talking about, the hooks coming in left and right from Misian. And I like how Navi gets the chompers to layer on top of the hook once it does come in, just so that they could exert the maximum damage that they can. And it's really telling that, if anything, very refreshing as well, because I've actually had a big question as to whether or not Navi and Misian can perform, especially with the performance from the semifinals.
Oh, he's going for a repeat gank in the mid lane. And as you said, in that bot lane, yes. Navi and Misian really pulling it off here in the bot lane, but Veer trying to go for some ganks here. Navi almost gets hit by that death sentence, but tilt over Peacemaker does not finish off Misian with a shield from his passive.
And that was, I'm not sure, Misian was probably panicking at that point because he walked straight into that trap right there. So, but nonetheless, he does survive, so very good on for the bot lane of QB.
Still a lot of pressure. Oh, look at the charm immediately onto Berserk. Berserk has no chance of escaping this. Chan takes away the kill. Man, he's just getting camped at this point, and that's understandable because Berserk very, very weak in the early game on that Malzahar. Malzahar has no chance to fight against the Ahri. especially that he no longer has flash. That decisiveness from Bomb is impressive.
Oh.
Look at that hook onto the support of TUP. This might be a kill onto, not Blizzard. It's going to be Neep taking away the kill, confirming the kill.
But regardless, we've been championing how Mise N is all about the hooks. But then again, you could say the same for Neep. Like I mentioned, he's the best Thresh player in the LCL, arguably, in my opinion. So that being said, it's all about the skill shots for both sides. The hooks, actually. Not the skill shots in general, but the hook shots particularly.
Hook City here in the bot lane. Population 4. It might be 3 once Sphere immigrates down here to the bot lane, but
yeah,
the pressure that he pulled earlier definitely helped out UPD, because that left Mise N open to be at enough health to be taken out.
On the other hand, I really like how proactive Chan is in these early phases, because we've been talking about, I've been comparing TUP to how they're kind of similar to TIP, wherein they have a really good chance if they could really snowball early on. Like I mentioned, win lane, win game, kind of like what TIP went during their own prime. So that being said, the big question, I mean not really a question, but I'm wondering actually if TUP could really speed ahead in terms of snowballing, because if they just allow it to, if they just get those small kills, like if they're not able to make it a substantial, huge margin, then that's where that actually gives more opportunities for UPD to thrive and come back into the mid and later phases.
That's true.
Like we mentioned, they were the king of objectives in terms of that first game. So it's because of those small things that there's so much that TUP has to account for, that if ever they're going to rely on the strategy of winning lane, winning game, or just kind of overwhelming UPD in terms of getting kills, then they have to really get things going on heavily in the earlier phases. Because if it's more of a scenario where it's just equal, then without a doubt, UPD is just going to collapse on TUP in terms of the overall macro play.
Yeah, it seems like TUP is really playing it very well, though. Like, look at Sean. Still going for more ganks against Berserk. The CS difference is in Bomb's favor. The kills are in Bomb's favor. Berserk 0-2 will not be super relevant just yet until he roams with his ultimate. And being pushed in constantly by Bomb means that those roams will come much slower. So that's one thing that UPD will have to suffer and endure through. The hook almost hitting Neep, but I think hitting Neep with a hook there might have been dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, like, once he gets hooked in, they could probably do a counterplay
here
of his own.
Spear going onto Bomb. Bomb still has a Spirit Rush. Ultimate for ultimate trade, but this does reveal the position of the UPD jungler. Meanwhile, Sean might be rotating there to the bot lane. He does not have the Cataclysm just yet, but it might be enough damage burst coming from that Jarvan, or they might just go for the turret here, actually. And plus, Bomb is right around the corner. UPD has to back off in the bot lane. Neep exhausts Bomb to try and deny a lot of damage, but he gets hooked. Man, it's going to be Blizzard, going to be taken down with the rocket coming from Navi. Here comes Spear to try and save the day. Kicks off Sean, finishes off the kill against him. It's going to be Neep and Veer trying to chase down Bomb. He no longer has Spirit Rush. Flash is also not available. The play is going to confirm the kill with a turret shot, but now it's going to be Veer taking a few rockets, being taken out by Navi. Triple kill onto the jungler of UPD, but a shutdown, a very big shutdown, and 2 kills for Navi.
Man, still, even though Navi did get those 2 kills, I was actually wondering where Navi was in all of that when UPD started going for their own counter engage.
Seems like he was going for the turret as well as not diving too deep. I think he felt the safety of the Super Mega Death Rocket. Let's break that down.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check out what happened here. So, yeah, like what I said, I'm wondering where Navi is. So, was kind of left at the turret because they didn't have a wave. So, that being said, only left 3 members of TUP to fend for themselves. There was
that rocket was great.
Yeah, that rocket was really good. But then again, these are 2 very healthy members of UPD still, especially Veer here. And considering all said and done, Bomb is kind of left in an awkward position because there's not really much he could do at this point. He's separated from the rest of TUP, gets isolated, takes hefty damage from both Veer and Neep, but still, Navi, good on him to get this double kill. I feel like it could have been better. It's just that Navi, he didn't have a creep wave under that turret to follow.
Yeah, that's definitely big for UPD and TUP as well. Getting the BF Sword and Zeal onto Navi will be much better than just the pickaxe onto Blizzard. The attack speed, I think, really multiplies the BF Sword compared to the pickaxe. Here comes Veer. I think he will be taking out this Infernal Break very cleanly and almost at full health, so he will still be in a state to clear his jungle and gank. So TUP has to watch out.
Oh, man. And yeah, that being said, this is very, very reminiscent in a way of the earlier game, but in the sense that, like I mentioned, this is still fairly equal in terms of the deaths. Without a doubt, TUP does have that potential to keep up to par with UPD in that aspect, because they are mechanically gifted. I definitely give them that. But like I mentioned, as a common problem with most LCL teams, the macro play is still in question, and that's what.
Immediately going on to Misi, and he doesn't have the flash. I don't think he's getting out of this. Neep secures the kill.
Oh, Neep. We've been
2-0 and 3 Neep.
100%. Yeah, it's not really.
Like, look at me. I'm the captain now. I'm the carry now.
Yeah, he go carry while Blizzard 0-1-3. Yeah.
0-1-3. But still, a kill onto Neep extends his gold a little bit so he can roam faster. Actually gets a hook onto Navi. That is going to be the cannon barrage, doing a lot of damage onto both of these bot laners of UPD. Navi finishes off the kill. There's going to be this teleport for Iconic, but I think it might be too late. Has to cancel it. Another double kill onto Navi. Very, very scary.
Yeah, I mean, 4-0 right now. Like 2/3 of the kills going on to Navi right there. But yeah, that being said, this is something that TUP could actually potentially invest on. But at the same time, looking at their composition, it's not like they could go for a full protect the Navi type of scenario because they don't really have as much utility to do that.
But the thing is, though, if Navi gets ahead enough, Navi can really protect himself.
Yeah.
He has enough range with the rockets, and with if he gets a reset, that's even more safety for him and snowball potential in the team fight. Now, the thing is, though, that's also the power of the rocket, the cannon barrage coming from the gangplank that Acedia has. He's not getting a lot of kills. He is ahead in the lane against Iconic in terms of the gold, the CS, because he is trading better. He has his Triforce now, which is going to extend his lead in the top lane. Plus, the cannon barrage can get easy assists and really scare off the members of UPD, because the damage from cannon barrage with the Thunderlord's Decree is actually substantial.
Oh man, so there's definitely a lot on the line for the pressure is definitely on Navi in a sense. Very reminiscent of what happened to TUP in the semifinals, wherein we've been championing how Acedia has all the carry potential, but it did come to a point wherein Acedia itself did fall behind before.
Man, Beer might have to escape from this gunpowder thing in the top lane. Look at the damage that's coming from Chan and Acedia. The burst is definitely real.
This is what you'd expect of two players that have played even outside the outfield. Like I did mention before, they have played with each other in
something in the bot lane, though. Okay, just a little bit of something. And not really transitioning into anything.
Yeah.
Berserk trying to go for the roam.
Good attempt though, but yeah. I'd say this is a little bit slower in a sense. We do see these small skirmishes, but nothing particularly definitive that we could say it swings to a certain team's favor. But then again, like we mentioned, one of the people that we want to look out for here is Navi, because with the 4-0, but we have a fight
onto Navi because BCN cannot go to the front line. But look at the damage coming from Navi. Still gets taken out by the headshot from Blizzard. Now it's going to be BCN in trouble. Neep gets another kill, 3-1-4. But that is decisive coming to the bot lane. But now it's going to be Bomb trying to go for something for an escape here. That's going to be the Void Gaze onto him. Lots of damage. The Cannon Barrage finishes Neep off, and Blizzard slowed down by the Cannon Barrage. Charmed as well. Seems like he won't be killing Bomb today.
Whoa.
That's the Cannon Barrage. Being able to deny kills and get gold on top of that. The bank plank is happening, and Iconic is under duress here. Gets dunked by Chan. He's surviving a little bit more, but not enough damage to finish off Acedia. Plus, he had the orange to really top his health out.
Man, Iconic just can't catch a break in most of these games here. I kind of feel for him in a sense because
wow, look at the size of the hits knocked up. The Thunderlord's Decree does finish off this pirate, and now this Lee Sin is going to try and take out Chan, but the minions are really blocking his way from the Sonic Wave. I think he has to back off of this, because the burst from Chan can come and will take out Veer.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of burst, indeed, we did see how much damage. I was actually quite surprised by that damage output that they exerted earlier on both Veer and Iconic.
I think he was saving health for the Rift Herald. He is under vision, though, which means that Bomb will definitely go to him. He takes a hit, sees that his friend might be in trouble. He is zoning out Bomb, but Missy N is also here, so I think Veer definitely has to give up this Rift Herald, which would have been a great objective to get for UP Diliman.
Exactly. This is the strategy that Neep has been talking about, wherein he's very much more comfortable going for roams and investing on helping other teammates across the map, with the comfort of also leaving Blizzard, knowing that he is on a Caitlyn. So he does have that long range to grant him a little bit more safety in that laning phase.
And yeah, Caitlyn can still survive a lot against Navi on that Jinx. The problem is, though, because Missy N, very dangerous. He doesn't have the flash for any of those.
Ooh, that's slow, though.
I think that's going to be very dangerous. Ooh. The Lantern actually does save him, but Navi trying to go for a little bit of the turret action. Three members down here for UPD and TUP. The rotations come from both of these teams, really responding to each other very, very well. Neat might be in trouble, though. Actually gets the initiative onto the hook, but can't really go in on that.
And I gotta commend the build, Neep here, actually building boots of mobility right off the bat, granting him that strength in terms of emphasizing the roam potential that he has and the overall strategy that UPD has in general to exert this level of pressure across the map.
Infernal Drake, gonna be the pickup for TUP. Lots of vision for TUP, but very dark on the side of UPD, so they have to be very, very careful on how they play this. There's going to be the Void Gaze onto Bomb. Look at the hook going onto him now. That's going to be the Cannon Barrage dealing lots of damage. A true damage Cannonball actually hits square onto Veer, giving Chan the double kill. That's going to be Blizzard between two members that now is going to be flashing away. Look at the damage coming from Blizzard now, even when he's behind Navi. Now Navi has to run away for Zerk. Still going on to him. The teleport from Acedia has to be cancelled. So that's the end of that fight. 1 for 3 in favor of UPD.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of options in the case. They could push lane, they could push mid, they could get Dragon. And yeah, this is another scenario where UPD is going to come on
get first
top.
turret. It's actually going to be UPD with 3 members taking away just a few seconds separating these 2 first turrets of the game. And in the end, UPD gets first turret of the game, but TUP gets 2 turrets off of that. It seems like UPD is not stopping, though. Going for another. So in the end, is an equal trade, but more control of the map for UPD. Plus first turret of the game.
I mean, let's go ahead and check out what happened here, though. So,
look at that max range
hook.
Mean,
yeah, exactly. And then the max range, really good timing there.
The
hook just at the end. And then it's just very interesting here for UPD at this point. So even though Chan, the damage is absolutely insane, but because of how UPD is faster on their feet here, and Blizzard actually almost stuck him in that fight, but he did go down with that
he was
kill.
surrounded already,
yeah.
But TUP decides to escape the fight, leaving him safe. And that's the power again, as I was saying, the Cannon Barrage of the Gangplank is really global pressure across any kind of team fight. And because Chan locked everyone down, including Veer, that left him open to get chunked down. Look at, you saw that damage of that true damage cannonball. Oh, it's going to be Navi actually fighting off against Blizzard, who will get the lucky crit, but it's going to be the Piltover Peacemaker sealing the deal for Blizzard, getting the double kill. I think that was a 1v2 outplay.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, Blizzard really performing, and this is where I feel UPD will start really kicking up the knot.
Yeah, they really equalized the lead that Bomb built, and look at that. The KDA only separating Bomb and Berserk are 2 assists. And plus, Blizzard caught up and is even ahead of Navi at this point. Almost equal in CS, 4 more assists than his counterpart.
But that being said, if you're gonna compare an Ahri to a Malzahar, like Berserk could actually afford to have this kind of KDA in comparison to Bomb. Although Bomb is indeed heavier on the assist, but considering he is running an Ahri, I would have preferred that he would have had a much more substantial or better KDA. But we have a amazing end though.
In trouble for Zerk, kind of trying to finish him off. Does not have mana and it's not even in range, so has to give up that kill. But still, a lot of pressure. Leaves Blizzard alone to free hit on that turret a little bit. But since Acedia is around, have to respect the barrel damage.
Indeed, and Misa, and you know, the passive actually saving his life right there, because he was taking a hefty amount of damage. But yeah, nonetheless,
it's online for him.
Like I was saying, I would have preferred a better KDA for Bomb at this point, because in terms of Berserk, sure, 1, 2, 3, not exactly. I mean, of course, it would be good to actually have a lot of kills, but then again, this is a Malzahar, and when you consider a Malzahar, the utility in itself, because of the ult, the Nethergrass, in itself is enough.
As well as the silence. The split-second silence could actually mean a difference with Bomb living or not when he rushes in, and he cannot rush out because he's silenced by the Q.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the Void Gaze duration doesn't get stopped, but here comes the Cannon Barrage to try and slow down UPD. Look at the damage coming from that. Berserk gets taken down. Hook almost hits Veer. But because of all of that damage from that Cannon Barrage, they have to be pushed into this turret. Blizzard, already below half health, has the Warlord's Bloodlust to recover health, but I don't think he's in a position to do so. Chan gonna get taken down by Neat once again, getting another kill. Neat now taking a lot of damage. Blizzard takes the ace in the hole, actually gets the damage. That's gonna be iconic, and we are trying to clean up. Everyone on TUP is very, very low. Actually gets a Shock Blast against Bomb and takes him out, and a crit onto Misi N. actually finishes off with UPD in the lead of the team fight unexpectedly, and now they're going to transition this into more turrets. The inhibitor turret will be their target. Death timers at 10 seconds, bomb at 20. This is going to be enough time for UPD to get this turret, as CD is very, very low, can still deal lots of damage with the barrels, but look at that pushing potential coming from that Rift Herald. She is going crazy on these structures, but she cannot get the inhibitor.
Oh man, an inhibitor turret down within the first 20 minutes of the game. This definitely caused problems for TUP in terms of getting control over this map. Like we did mention, UPD is the champion of macro play in comparison to all LCL.
Let's break down that fight.
Yeah, exactly. This is very interesting here.
Barrage,
so Sean actually getting the kill right away. Actually goes to Misa N. But that being said, this actually allows UPD to kind of reverse things eventually. So TUP trying to continue the push here, but this actually causes...
They don't have a wave.
Yeah, exactly. And that hook onto John, because he is a more damage-oriented Jarvan IV, easily goes down. And then at this point, look at the damage here coming from UPD at this point. TUP just trying to back away, but because of how far they in, and the follow... Look at Fear here, though. Almost. But then
very clean.
At the end of the day, much more clean for UPD Liman. And this causes so many more problems for TUP. Like I mentioned, UPD... This allows them so much more control over the map. And I don't know, man, because if anything, like I mentioned, the saving grace for TUP here would have been how they could actually go up to par in terms of kills. But right now, 12 and 80, UPD on top of everything right now.
Yeah, and the Blizzard actually gets a lot more ahead than Navi in terms of the kills and the assists. And this means this skews the goal to his side, even with the 20 CS lead of Navi, meaning that it's very scary. Even if Blizzard had to be forced out of the fight there, because he's a Caitlyn, he's playing Caitlyn, even if he's at that sliver of health, he can still really free hit. And then, since he was feeding, he was able to get the double kill at the back end of that fight. The ace in the hole really helped him out as well.
And yeah, that being said, what's interesting here is that whatever silver lining that TUP kind of had on banking on Navi is kind of voided at this point, because if you're going to look across the board for all the members of UPD, with the exception of Berserk, although acceptable, is the fact that everyone's stellar KDAs right now for Iconic, for Veer, for Blizzard especially. We've been kind of pegging on how Blizzard might have been taking a little bit more of a safer stance in this game, but considering his KDA right now, he's clearly one of the superstars for UPD.
And really working out for him. I know that we talked down on Blizzard a lot for not being as mechanically skilled as the rest of UPD. Even in their interview video, Neep said that he has the obedience to follow better players on his team. But looking at this is really well moved very well for UPD. The lockdown from Sean is there, but I think this just leaves the terrain open for Blizzard to continue free hitting here. Gets taken down, and there's a lot of downtime that Blizzard is not free hitting. But look at the damage is still there for these two members of UPD. Iconic and Blizzard clean up the fight. Acedia gonna try and get away. There is no ace in the hole available. I think they have to give up the fight here, but that will be the mid lane inhibitor for UPD.
Oh man, and one of the trickier parts here for TUP is that they could only do so much in these fights here, especially that across the board, everyone is pretty much damage-oriented. Sure, you could get a great startup from the Jarvan IV, and technically could assassinate targets. We have seen how fast they were able to convert onto Berserk earlier. But that being said, once all of that's gone, and if they're not able to overwhelm UPD within those first few seconds of those initiation, then UPD easily topples over them, and we did see how that happened. So let's go ahead and check things out here. So exactly. So TUP actually in a great position here to start things. It's just that this is the problem that they have here. That small window of initiation that they have. Sure, they're able to take down 3 members of UPD here, and we have to attribute it to Navi in this case. But with all said and done, like I mentioned, that window of opportunity, that small window actually leaves TUP vulnerable at this point, because they exhaust a lot of resources taking down those members, and it's pretty much a cleanup for Iconic and Blizzard at this point.
Yeah.
And this is the
another fight already after the replay. Sean gets chunked down to half health. Blizzard is still doing lots of damage. It's going to be Veer fearlessly going for the kick against that champion, and actually takes out the kill. Neep still good chasing here. Navi has to be careful. Bomb as well. He has a Spirit Rush. Can potentially go for a kill onto Blizzard. Actually goes for it. The charm does not connect to the right champion, and now Blizzard's going to flash in. The red buff will slow him down while Iconics taking out Navi. Gets rooted, but here comes Berserk to try and save him. The rocket still goes through, but Berserk cleans up the job. still going to be a 3-4-2 in favor of UPD still.
Definitely.
Yeah, look, that's an action-packed gameplay. And in the fight before this, the fight that we had, okay, there's another replay.
So yeah, let's go ahead and check out what happened after that replay. So yeah, again, TUP, this is a problem though for TUP at this point because technically they start off this fight 4v2. So this doesn't really allow TUP that many options at this point with one of their members down. But Veer actually managing to... Yeah, exactly. And again, this is one of those scenarios where TUP couldn't really deal with UPD considering the lead that they have right now. So, I don't know, man, because looking at the composition that TUP has, sure, they have the damage output, and sure, Na'Vi 5-2, but the problem is because of how I still find them a little bit more squishy to actually last in these fights. That's the problem that I've had.
Na'Vi cannot free hit for too long compared to Blizzard.
Exactly.
Because when it comes to the damage game, both of these teams have very damage-oriented compositions. With UPD, because they're ahead, are actually ahead in that. Plus, they have a solid front line as well, just with Neep. And I love how decisive UPD is with the Dark Passage. We saw in the fight before the other fight where Berserk immediately went in with a Dark Passage to try and take down either Na'Vi or Bomb with a Void Force. It actually worked for them. Look at that. Ace in the hole immediately onto Bomb to try and take them out. Berserk finishes the job. Cannon Barrage a little bit late. Does not actually deal a lot of damage, but it's now going to be Veer on the back end of the fight trying to escape. Look at how tanky he is, and he's really dishing out a lot of CC and heal as well. Chan tries to go for Berserk and Blizzard, but gets taken down. The arena is closed now. Blizzard trying to go for some free hits. Acedia might go for something here. He does have the advantage of having long-range barrels, but I don't think he's fast enough to take this. Still very dangerous. If he gets hooked by Acedia, he does have the remove Scurvy, but that's an animation that Blizzard can take advantage of. Look at that. Man. Blizzard really baiting out Acedia.
But yeah, I mean, finally,
2 for 3, yeah, TOP in favor.
Yeah, there you go. And this is what's nice about what happened here for TUP is that UPD was kind of separated in this fight in a way. So that being said, because UPD wasn't in full collapse, it actually allowed Na'Vi to slowly just kind of free hit on whatever members are accessible to him on UPD, as opposed to the full collapses earlier that we've seen on UPD. So that being said, look at Acedia here, actually quite healthy, but the damage at the same time coming from Blizzard, which is why he couldn't really go full on invest, because still you gotta respect the standing that Blizzard has right now.
The goal that separates these two teams is actually not that big. The Drakes are actually in TOP's favor. So in terms of the damage, UPD is ahead, but when it comes to the flank, Berserk gets to safety with a Dark Passage, but still, if TUP gets a good flank, UPD will suffer, and if UPD is not grouped up when that happens, this will be very dangerous. Trying to go for something, hooks onto Berserk. Dragon Strike combo actually hits no one, and that's going to be the Cannon Barrage to try and zone away UPD.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems like they have other plans, shoving this mid lane in.
Even though Berserk was a pretty good target to get, the problem there was that TUP, if you're going to look at their life bars, in comparison to UPD, that's fairly healthy.
Going for Nexus turrets here. They do have a big wave building up. Actually, going for the inhibitor, rather. They do have a pretty big wave building up here, and taking advantage of how TUP was playing so much around the Baron side that they neglected the mid lane. And now UPD naturally transitioned this into an Ocean Ray. Yeah, or a bait. Good go for a bait, because TUP does not have any vision around that bot side. Can't go for a pickoff or a bait here. Neep decisively goes for a Dark Passage, and wow, the alley-oop coming from here to go for the damage, but the damage from Sean also there. Iconic finishes off Sean. Berserk has to run away. Blizzard still dealing lots of damage, as Na'Vi is free hitting so well in this, but now he's in range of Blizzard. Actually, why did he go for that? He was in range now for Blizzard, which left his advantage lost.
Oh man, and this is what I've been talking about here. Actually, later on during this game, Navi's gonna be quite the force to be reckoned with. But that being said, there's still that question wherein there's not enough of a solid meat shield front line, in my opinion.
That's true.
To allow, grant that opportunity to Na'Vi. So let's go ahead and see here. Neep really distracting Na'Vi right here, and as a result, it allows other members of UPD to collapse on the other members here. Sean, actually, again, the squishiness is so, it's crazy. And at this point, Berserk does go down, but again, UPD Liman
took so bad for UPD.
Yeah, and Na'Vi here, the positioning was very problematic. Like you mentioned, was in range of Blizzard at that point. And again, you gotta respect the damage coming from Blizzard.
He got greedy to kill off Iconic. He should have had a Acedia frontline for him.
Exactly. I
He should have
couldn't
backed off.
I couldn't heavily 100% blame it on Navi, although he was overly aggressive. But then again, Acidi at the same time was fairly healthy. But
Yeah.
at the same time,
And he had Sterax as well.
yeah,
So there was no reason for Acedia not to frontline there, because Navi left himself open. If Navi rather was really hitting from a safe distance, he would not have been shocked down to that level of health, and he could have cleaned up the UPD squad, and that would have been a huge win for TUP, because that would have been a Baron.
exactly. And with all said and done, these are some of the plays which actually puts another question into my mind with regards to TUP. The coordination, they do have these certain moments of disconnect between members, which actually causes these mispositions to happen, especially for Navi at this point. And considering that you are running composition wherein technically you could have potentially banked on Navi, but at the same time not having the proper front line to do so, this definitely causes problems for TUP. And UPD at this point, I mean, the macro plays just there, and they're always one step ahead in terms of the decision making in comparison to TUP. That, if anything, I actually find TUP much more active at this point.
Yeah, and being forced into a reactive role when you have Gangplank, Jarvan, and Ari is something that you do not want to be in. It's not a position that you want to play in. And because they are in a reactive position, and defensive one, that means Iconic can really hit from far away with the Empowered Shock Blast. The Piltover Peacemakers from Blizzard as well are very scary. The thing is, TUP has the wave clear.
I like the fact that Chan, if you're going to look at his build right now, actually went for
goes for the hook onto Iconic, but does not get the knockup after that. That's just going to be a flash burn onto Iconic, but he's still going to go strong here.
Oh, man.
Still going for the siege. Look at that trap line from Blizzard. So even if they can't get to the turret just yet, the mid lane is pushing, and Acedia has his attention there.
Damage on Bomb. This will definitely cause a lot more deficiencies for TUP. If anything, they might have to give up this inner turret in the top lane. And of course, that will be another objective siege by UP Diliman. But
seems like the Baron will be their next target, just going for vision here most likely, because TUP, they can do it quickly, but this is way too dangerous for them to immediately start, so this might actually be just a bait on the corner, because Neep's waiting around the wings. He is going to go for it. Blizzard actually takes the Dark Passage. Neep goes in, but is that the right hook target? This doesn't put him in a good position to frontline for his team. Now it's going to be Chan going in, but gets taken down almost immediately, but now UPD is very, very low. Berserk goes down. Blizzard is at like a sliver of health. The GA gets popped. The Dark Passage actually keeps him alive there, and they're going for the Baron. They are so low. TUP does not have Super Mega Death Rocket. They might go for a bait here. Seems like Veer has to pull off from this Baron. Navi is way too much of a threat to continue this objective.
But yeah, I mean, that was a very gutsy move by UP Diliman there. But that would have been a high-risk, high-reward type of scenario. But let's go ahead and check out what transpired in the clash here. Not exactly the best hook target here for
Look at damage.
And with all said and done, if anything, I was actually thinking that TUP might have been at a disadvantage here because Navi was a little bit later on to get auto attacks in. But then again, look at the damage output coming here from Bomb. Because UPD was already preparing to just kind of back away. But still, one of the members got caught out at the end of the day. But slowly, we're actually seeing signs of life from TUP.
Yeah.
And especially, I feel that once Chan is a little bit more tankier, because that, I continue to say, this is one of the problems right here. Chan has all the potential to go in front line for TUP. It's just that he was so squishy during the earlier
the first
fights.
to die in these
exactly.
team fights.
But then again, if you're going to look at the items that he's been going for after the damage-oriented jungle item, it's definitely leaning more towards the tankier role.
Yeah.
And I actually like that because, like I mentioned, once you have a much more solid
that's gonna be
front
Sean
line,
once again locked down and then taken out. Blizzard is legendary, and I think UPD's not gonna stop at one kill. They are going for the Baron, whether they're going for the objective itself or baiting TUP to go in on them. Either way, this might be a huge win for UPD if they get it. And they do get the buff uncontested.
and the rocket actually misses for Navi
Doesn't
right
hit
there.
any champions, just passes by Baron.
And wow, this is going to be huge for UP Diliman at this point. And I'm actually having flashbacks of what happened during a PGS game yesterday. But it was basically the scenario was that once one of those members of TUP got picked off, that was that.
The jungler as well, especially.
Yeah, especially the jungler, wherein if you wanted an opportunity to contest that Baron, you needed that smite. So
now they no longer have the smite. And look at this, UPD has such a good sieging composition with the Voidlings, with the Empowered Shock Blast, with the range of Blizzard. But TUP has the wave clear to actually fight it out. But that's almost hitting Veer there with a hook. But since these Baron of Minions, oh my god, that's actually the hook connecting onto Navi. Instantly takes him out. That's all of the damage of TUP out. Sean goes for the lockdown with the Cataclysm, but Blizzard is not stopping with the kills. Bomb gets a kill against Veer, but the rest of UPD still going strong. UPD below half health. Blizzard might be in trouble, but Bomb, look at the damage he does to Bomb in one auto attack. Now it's going to be the inhibitors going down for for TUP. This is a very dangerous spot for them. With the 80 carry still alive, this leaves them open to push really, really hard.
And oh my goodness, especially looking at the death timers, those are actually pretty hefty, especially for a CD. Still 40 seconds left on his clock. So if anything, UPD has all the potential to just clear out this inhibitor as well, and this will just cause more problems. TUP will be kind of forced to play a much more active defensive role to just try to fend off their base.
They're backing off, and because the inhibitors that got destroyed were mid lane and top lane. Okay, let's break down the team fight.
Yeah, man, this is a great hook coming from Neep, the prime target from TUP. And that being said, the damage output is lowered exponentially for TUP. That they can only be reactive. They don't have any damage to counter the aggression coming from UPD. And it's just all a matter of a collapse at this point. Then again, Blizzard, I gotta commend this guy. I think we have to shut our mouths at this point as to discounting Blizzard because he's clearly performing beyond expectation in this game. And I don't know, man. UPD.
Look at that, another fight already, with starting off with Blizzard getting a kill and Sean getting taken down once again by that sniper. 2 for 1. Seems like that Elder Drake was just a bait for TUP to go in. It seems like UPD now still going for it. Cedia is alone. He's not the tankiest guy. He does have the Sterax, but has to pull away from that. And now it's going to be UPD closing in on his mid lane. We'll go for the turrets here. The Nexus turrets will be their target. They still have the buff on Blizzard. This is going to be very scary. The hook does not hit anyone, but Blizzard might be in trouble. Below half health, he does have the Warlord's Bloodlust to recover his health, and the GA.
Yeah, all they need
not
is
actually available. But they just have to get a few good hits. Look at that health recovery with the Warlord's Bloodlust. That's going to be Neep actually going in, and Navi instantly gets taken down with a Void Gaze. No chance to escape, and now Blizzard all this time has been free hitting on those turrets. 4 members down for TUP means that this is going to be another win for UPD. 2-0 so far in this best of 5 series. As CD cannot do anything on that Gangplank right now. 2-0 so far.
And UPD demand one step away from the champion title.
At match point. So now TUP's chances are lower. Let's look at the last replay of that fight, because we missed like the first half of that.
So there we go. Misa not actually getting a substantial look, and actually as a result gets kicked into the Baron. But yeah, man, oh man, Neep has really been showing up in this game, and Blizzard, just the damage you really have to look at. The Sean though actually manages to get Fear, but because of how squishy he is, again, the continuing problem that I have with this Jarvan the Fourth. And at this point, with all these members of UPD, and technically you don't really have the best defense. Sure, Asadia could clear out waves, but then again, you have a Baron empowered wave right there. So
really, really well played by UPD that game. They had a very rough start. Berserk had a very, very rough start. But he was able to recover. Plus, he's relatively low econ for a mid laner on that Malzahar. And even with a super huge lead that Navi built in that bot lane, because of how the rest of his team played, he and the rest of his team played, and how UPD responded to it, they were able to get back and just snowball from that. The counter snowball.
And you know, TUP, like we've been championing how they could go up to par with UPD in these fights, but one thing that was problematic right there, and I'm not sure if it's because of them, I think it's a combination of TUP, the mispositioning, and at the same time Neep being so on point with these hooks, especially that last one on Navi. That was a game changer. That was a full-on game changer for UPD. And look at the KDA again, Blizzard.
Wow, 16-2-7. That puts his KDA so high up there. His KDA in this game is like 15.5. Wow, that's huge. Look at the damage. I think we have to shut up about Blizzard right now.
Yeah, we just have to stop it right there.
Because he has shown a lot of growth from the interconference into the semis, into the finals. And I have to commend his safety. But he's not alone there. It's also Neep being so good of a support there in the bot lane that keeping him alive. And the rest of his team was a very good support system for that AD carry as well.
At the end of the day, the teamwork definitely prevails.
That's true.
So we'll just have to see. UPD, the momentum is definitely in their court. Whether or not TUP could pull off a reverse sweep, that's a very tricky scenario for them. But of course,
UPD, if they have the momentum, they're gonna push for it. But TUP, they've shown that they can go for these Titan, just cutting down the Titans. They can perform that, but it's going to be very hard. They have to pull out every single trick in the book for them to actually face up against UPD.
And play the games to the T, because we can't discount the fact that even though they played to their strengths in that first game, the macro play, again, UPD. So they have to really just again, win lane, win game. I feel like they have to win so hard.
They have to change paradigms for that.
And
Either they win so hard in lane that UPD cannot catch back up, or they have to change how they play.
And whether or not they could pull them off in such a short time, this is the finals. So not that much opportunity, but of course, ladies and gents, we'll have to see later on during Game 3 if they will be able to prevail.
Of course, we've been your shoutcaster for the second game of this best of 5 series. I'm Atlas. With me was Arctic. We'll be back after a break for Game 3. Might be trouble below half health. He does have the Warlord's Bloodlust to recover his health and the GA.
Yeah, all these
not actually available. But they just have to get a few good hits. Look at that health recovery with the Warlord's Bloodlust. That's going to be Neep actually going in, and Navi instantly gets taken down with a Void Gaze. No chance to escape, and now Blizzard all this time has been free hitting on those turrets. 4 members down for TUP means that this is going to be another win for UPD. 2-0 so far in this best of 5 series. CD cannot do anything on that Gangplank right now. 2-0 so far.
And
getting the Void Gaze onto Bob. Look at the hook going onto him now. That's going to be the Cannon Barrage dealing lots of damage. A 2 damage Cannonball actually hits square onto Veer, giving Sean the double kill. That's going to be Blizzard between 2 members that now is going to be flashing away. Look at the damage coming from Blizzard now, even when he's behind Navi. Now Navi has to run away while Berserk still going onto him. Teleport from a CDS. Now taking a lot of damage. Blizzard takes the ace in the hole, actually gets the damage. That's going to be iconic. If you're trying to clean up, everyone on TUP is very, very low. Actually gets a shock blast against Bomb and takes him out. And a crit onto Missy N. But looking at this is really going to move very well for UPD. The lockdown from Sean is there, but I think this just leaves the terrain open for Blizzard to continue free hitting here. Gets taken down, and that's a lot of downtime that Blizzard is not free hitting. But look at the damage is still there. 4 of these 2 members of UPD, Iconic and Blizzard, clean up the fight. Acedia gonna try and get a win for them. Look at that ace in the hole immediately onto Bomb to try and take him out. Berserk finishes the job. Cannon Barrage a little bit late, does not actually deal a lot of damage, but it's now gonna be Veer on the back end of the fight trying to escape. Look at how tanky he is, and he's really dishing out a lot of CC and heal as well. Tron tries to go for Berserk and Blizzard, but gets taken down. The arena is closed now. Blizzard trying to go for some feet. Acedia might go for something here. Decisively goes for a Dark Passage, and wow, the alley coming from here trying to go for the damage, but the damage from Sean also there. Iconic finishes off Sean. Berserk has to run away. Blizzard still dealing lots of damage, as Navi is hitting so well in this. But now he's in range of Blizzard. Actually, why did he go for that? He was in range now for Blizzard, which left his advantage. Blizzard actually takes the Dark Passage. He goes in, but is that the right hook dart? If this doesn't put him in a good position to frontline for his team. Now it's going to be Sean going in, but gets taken down almost immediately. But now UPD is very, very low. Berserk goes down. Blizzard is at like a sliver of health. The GA gets popped. The Dark Passage. Oh my god, that's actually the hook connecting onto Navi. Instantly takes him out. That's all of the damage of TUP out. Sean goes for the lockdown with the Cataclysm, but Blizzard is not stopping with the kills. Bomb gets a kill against Veer, but the rest of UPD still going strong. UPD below half health. Blizzard might be trouble below half health. He does have the Warlord's Bloodlust to recover his health and the GA. Yeah, all these not actually available. But they just have to get a few good hits. Look at that health recovery with the Warlord's Bloodlust. That's going to be Neep actually going in, and Navi instantly gets taken down with a Void Gaze. No chance to escape, and now Blizzard all this time has been free hitting on those turrets. 4 members down for TUP means that this is going to be another win for UPD. 2-0 so far in this best of 5 series. Acedia cannot do anything on that Gangplank right now. 2-0 so far.
And UPD Demand 1 step away.
Not enough Garena shells to buy the latest League of Legends skin? On sale now? Get shells anytime, anywhere with your Globe or Touch mobile number. Go to gamer.com.ph and sign up with your mobile number and enter the verification code you will receive via SMS. Log in and choose the game and pin you want. Check out to purchase the pin with your load or through your postpaid account and receive the pin on your phone instantly. Never miss a sale on your favorite League of Legends skins and champions with Gamer.